But this is it for West Ham and Bournemouth fans. West Ham focused on Europe last season and the Premier League was a real struggle for them as a result. Question marks over personnel this season for them. Bournemouth, though, rung the changes in the summer despite staying up, and a new dawn starts at the Vitality Stadium under a new, exciting manager. Get ready. Bournemouth versus West Ham, live here on Talksport 2. Your commentary team is former Arsenal winger Perry Groves and your match commentator Nigel Adley.
Thank you, Faye. Good afternoon once again. Both Bournemouth and West Ham begin new eras here today. The Cherries have turned to their first overseas manager as they try to move to that next level which so many clubs aspire to. Well, West Ham need to move on from both Declan Rice and a summer which started with European glory but has quickly descended into a fog of uncertainty. New signings may lift the mood, but with another European season coming up, more reinforcements may be needed. Both sides are out onto the field here under grey skies at the Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth in their traditional red and black stripes, West Ham in their change kit of all white today. And there are two debutants starting for Bournemouth. Max Aarons signed yesterday from Norwich. He will be the right back. On the other side, Milos Kerkez from AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands also makes his debut in English football. Their team is Neto in goal, Aarons, Senesi, Zabani and Kerkez the back four, Christian Rothwell in midfield, Anthony Billing and Brooks behind Solanke. No new signings in the West Ham starting 11 on the opening day of the Premier League season. The only change for them from the Conference League final in Prague, of course, no Declan Rice. He's over on Talksport concluding Arsenal's game against Nottingham Forest at the moment. They still lead by 2-1 very late on there. So Pablo Fornals will play in that role. It is Areola in goal. He gets the gloves ahead of Lucas Fabianski, who was on the bench and was the first choice in the Premier League for much of last season. Soufal, Zuma, Agerd and Emerson the back four. Fornals and Souček in midfield. Bowen, Paquetá and Benrahma behind Antonio. And it does feel, Perry Groves, that West Ham in particular here start the season almost in limbo, because come the 1st of September, when they're live on Talksport, in similar surroundings to this at Kenilworth Road against Luton Town, their team could look very different. Should look very different.
Yeah, very much so. So if David Moyes gets his way and he gets Harry Maguire over the line and James Ward-Prowse over the line, and then obviously Alvarez will come and play as like the 10 and the playmaker. But we'll have a different look about it, because at the moment, as you said there, Nigel, it's very samey, isn't it, for West Ham? But one thing that you can guarantee is that they'll be very, very well disciplined and very well organised defensively. So, and I'm a believer, like in boxing matches, like different styles, you can make a brilliant fight. I think that's what we've got in front of us today. We've obviously West Ham, we expect to sit a little bit deeper. Bournemouth to be on the front foot, closing down, obviously from the front, getting their full-backs pushed on, Max Aarons on the right-hand side, Kerkez on the left. So different styles, could be in for a really, really exciting spectacle.
Peter Banks is our referee here today, talking to the two captains. Neto, the goalkeeper, has the armband for Bournemouth, and Kurt Zouma has inherited the West Ham captaincy, on field at least, from Declan Rice. And this West Ham team, of course, always has expectation. The fans have travelled in their numbers once again on the far side. But how much of a hole will Declan Rice leave? Not just physically on the field, but maybe mentally in the dressing room as well.
Yeah, as you said there, it's not just his athleticism that they're going to miss, getting from box to box, which he had to his game. There's a dearth of leaders in the modern day game, Nigel, and he was one of those, as you say, on the pitch, cajoling his players, off the pitch, knitting everything together. So he said that Kurt Zouma's been given the captaincy today, so obviously he'll have a lot of responsibility. You'd expect likes of Thomas Souček as well, a senior player, Mikel Antonio, another senior player who takes responsibility.
Both sets of players take the knee before kick-off here at the Vitality Stadium. As the sun comes out, the first 3 o'clock kick-off of the Premier League season here on Talksport 2. And it's Bournemouth in their red and black stripes attacking the goal away to our right in the first half. From the kick-off, Ryan Christie actually flicked the ball up and then volleyed it down the line, which is an interesting move from the start.
When you think you've seen everything in football, that was a Hail Mary, wasn't it? We're expecting Andoni Iraola's team to play, carpets football, slick passing, and as you said there, all he's done is just flicked it up, smashed it up in the air, probably 70 yards, and just created a fight ball.
Bournemouth at home for the 6th season running on the opening day. They've not lost any of those games, 3 wins and 2 draws. But West Ham have won the last 3 Premier League meetings without conceding, including a 4-0 victory here towards the end of last season. Of course, at the time, West Ham were fighting relegation like Bournemouth, but they won decisively here on that night, and both teams ultimately ended the right side of the safety line. A long ball played forward for West Ham, looking for Bowen on the right-hand side, but it's quickly tidied up by Senesi, and it's wide towards Max Aarons. First touch for him on this near side, a player synonymous with Canary Yellow and Green in Norfolk, but now he's made the move to the south coast and back to the Premier League, and Bournemouth work it forward towards the halfway line. Here is Solanke back towards Billing, a long diagonal ball from him, looking for Christie over the top, Anthony over on the left-hand side. It's beyond both of them, and Alphonse Areola will take a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Arsenal have beaten Nottingham Forest by 2-1, 3 points for the Gunners on the opening day.
Yeah, just looking at Bournemouth, Philip Billing just trying to press a little bit too much there, trying to force it. And looking at the setups, both teams have gone 4-2-3-1, and it's just a surprise from West Ham because Cornels is playing in the 10 position and Paquetá is playing alongside Thomas Souček. And from Bournemouth's point of view, looks like Joe Rothwell will play just in front of the back four, Ryan Christie just in front of him, with Rothwell picking up Cornels, who I said he's playing in that 10.
Fornals wide towards Benrahma, down this near side, the West Ham left. He will take on Aarons, not once but twice. Eventually Aarons gets a boot in. Benrahma delivers a cross in which it is deflected off Aarons. It's loose, and Fornals with a volley over his shoulder from the edge of the penalty area swings wide of the far post.
Yeah, Benrahma 1v1 with Max Aarons, just trying to sort of come inside and then check him down the outside. I thought he was going to let it run off there, Nigel, actually, because it would have been a corner, because Aarons got the last touch and he's whipped the ball in with his left foot. Ball gets cleared by Zabanyi to the edge of the box, and then just hooked back in by Fornals, just harmlessly goes off for a goal kick.
David Moyes out on the edge of his technical area as David Brooks picks it up for Bournemouth, plays it wide to the left, looking for Anthony, but West Ham will clear with Souček. Andoni Iraola now joins Moyes on the edge of the touchline. All very intimate and tight here at the Vitality Stadium. Moyes, of course, so much experience in the Premier League. Only Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson have managed more games and enjoyed more wins at this level, but it's a new experience for Andoni Iraola, who replaced Gary O'Neill after a successful time with Rayo Vallecano, bringing them back into La Liga in Spain and finishing strongly last season. And we saw some training video on the big screen here before kick-off, and it was all very high press, it was all very high energy as Antonio almost wins it back on the edge of the penalty area from Zabanyi, and in the end Benrahma closes down Aarons. That was uncertain from Bournemouth, and with nearly 4 minutes played here it's 0-0, and Bournemouth have a throw-in on the far side, but they're slightly fortunate. Yeah, it's good closing down from Mikel Antonio. Just Neto rolling the ball out to Zabanyi, just coming out to the right-hand side of his 18-yard box, and Zabanyi actually gets the ball stuck underneath his feet, can't get it away from his feet to get his pass off. And Antonio closing down really well, and Zabanyi got away with one. And Zabanyi, still only 20 years of age, he's had a lot of football the last couple of years since making his debut for both Dynamo Kyiv and the Ukrainian national side in quick succession. Another young player, Alex Scott, was paraded before kick-off here following his move from Bristol City, a prodigiously talented teenager, but he could be out for a couple of months with a knee injury which showed up in his medical, so the Bournemouth fans will have to be patient with him as West Ham drive forward now with Bowen right down the centre. Left-footed shot from him is dragged wide, but it was an early promising sign there from Jared Bowen. Yeah, good strong run from Jared Bowen, just picking the ball up in the centre circle, just on the right hand side, just drifting onto his left foot. Senesi and Zabanyi just back off to the 18-yard box, and quite rightly Jared Bowen lets his left foot shot go, but just scuffs it, doesn't trouble Neto in the Bournemouth goal. Good noise inside the Vitality Stadium at kick-off time. Of course, this will no longer be the smallest venue in the Premier League, with Kenilworth Road joining the party this year as well. Was you having the DJ on the decks? I'm never having a DJ at the football
not
ground.
Having a DJ on the decks?
They built a stage away to our right-hand side, and there was the DJ on the decks before kick-off time, which in August looks and sounds great. Come back here in February and it might be a very different scene.
You don't think he'll have the same look with like a duffel coat on?
No.
And a balaclava, no?
No. Our raving days are long behind us.
He was a raver.
No, you must be joking.
They say the quiet ones are
My
worse.
dad was a copper, no chance of that. Emerson with the cross into the penalty area on this near side. The ball loops up into the air as it's blocked, then a powerful header forward from him to find Fornals inside the penalty area. But West Ham don't make the most of that. Brooks now with a high ball forward towards this near side for Bournemouth. 6 minutes played, 0-0 here on Talksport 2 in the Premier League, as there is space for Rothwell to bring it forward now for Bournemouth. Wide towards Solanke, who breaks towards the edge of the penalty area. He's quickly closed down by Bowen, and West Ham will try and break now themselves with Fornals. A good ball forward to try and pick out Antonio to the left, but it's covered well by Zabani, and he guides it back, all the way back towards Neto, defending the Bournemouth goal away to our left.
I'm just looking at Jayden Anthony over on the left-hand side. When the ball comes into Solanke should be on the half turn, and Jayden Anthony should be absolutely screaming at him to get the ball out on the left. Solanke comes back inside, and Jayden Anthony hadn't said a word to him.
Now Bowen again down the right for West Ham, but a good challenge coming in from Milos Kerkez, who will be a very mobile presence for Bournemouth down their left-hand side. Another teenager signed by them, the Hungarian international from AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands. And he slides in to concede a throw-in in front of the West Ham supporters. Taken quickly by Soufal, controlled by Antonio. Billing coming back to break things up for Bournemouth, but he maybe picked up an injury there, just clipped by Jarrod Bowen, and belatedly Peter Banks tried to allow the advantage and has now given a free kick to Bournemouth on the halfway line. Along the south coast, Bournemouth 0, Norwich City 1 in the Championship. Josh Sargent has scored the opening goal there. Southampton, a goal down, and good start for them last week, and then an appalling performance in the League Cup.
Yeah, I was on the train with all the Norwich fans coming down from Waterloo, and they caught a bit of a kerfuffle because they just all steamed into first class. So there's a few first class passengers that weren't, but you can't trust these Canaries.
A long ball played forward for Bournemouth on the far side. Jayden Anthony using his pace to keep the ball in play, and it will be a throw-in in the end to West Ham by the corner flag on the far side. In the National League, Chesterfield lead at Fylde by a 1-0. Earlier on today, so much action on the Talksport network. England reaching the semi-finals of the Women's World Cup, coming from behind to beat Colombia by 2-1. They will play the host nation Australia in the semi-finals, and you'll be able to hear both semi-finals on the Talksport network coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday mornings. Australia knocking out the French on penalties, and they are building some momentum, even though Sam Kerr only came off the bench once again. As Billing heads it back towards Zabani, and it's all the way back towards Neto again. We played nearly 9 minutes here on Talksport 2. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0, and home form was a problem for Bournemouth last season. Only 6 wins here. Only Southampton, Leicester and Everton gained fewer points on home turf.
Yeah, just looking at the game, it's got a good tempo about it, but neither team has really settled down in possession. There's a lot of stray passes. You can understand that, obviously, being the first game of the season, just trying to get their second win.
Now Christie coming forward for Bournemouth, up towards the edge of the penalty area. Paquetá, though, doing well to track his run, slide in and win it back on the edge of his own penalty area. Soufal quickly forward now to Fornals, back in field to Paquetá. Possibilities here for West Ham. Billing comes back to make the challenge, and then Paquetá goes flying as he's tackled by Senesi, and he's gone down touching his hip. The play continues.
Yeah, he's going to be okay. He'll realise that Peter Banks, the referee, isn't going to blow the whistle. Obviously, want to keep play flowing, so it'll be a miraculous recovery from Paquetá to get himself back into his defensive position. Initially, Philip Billing did brilliantly because Paquetá looked like he was away from him, tracked his run, and that enabled Senesi to come out and get a good block tackle with his left foot to get Bournemouth back in possession.
More goals in League 2. MK Dons 1, Tranmere 0. Mohamed Issa with the goal there. Newport 1, Doncaster 0. Seb Palmer Holden with the opening goal in South Wales. And in League 1, it's Bristol Rovers 0, Barnsley 1. Nicky Cadden with the early goal for the Tykes. Arsenal winning by 2-1 in the Premier League commentary on Talksport earlier on. A delayed kick-off at the Gunners, but 3 points for Mikel Arteta's team, and in the Championship, back-to-back defeats for Middlesbrough. They went down 3-0 at Coventry today in the commentary, which was both here on Talksport 2 and the Talksport app.
Just looking at Bournemouth nights, a principle of their play, you can tell that Andoni Iraola, the new Bournemouth manager, said to two centre-halves, Abanyi and Senesi, when the ball's coming into Mikel Antonio, they've got to go and close him down. So they both actually come about 5 to 7 yards further forward. One of them goes and closes down and tries to nick the ball, and the other one just covers behind. So before on Nagero O'Neill, they've been playing a lot deeper. Now they're playing a lot further up the pitch.
And it's back with Neto once again. 11 minutes played here, 0-0 on Talksport 2. You're listening to Bournemouth against West Ham on Talksport 2 with Now. And don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action, like Newcastle against Aston Villa, live today for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports. A mistake by Agurd inside the penalty area. Solanke lays it back to Brooks with the curler, and he hit it very precisely, left-footed but just wide.
Yeah, it's a really bad play there from Agurd. Looks like he cut the through ball out, but he got the ball stuck underneath his left foot. Solanke just nicked it off him, just laid it off to David Brooks coming with that right-hand side. He's just trying to bend it inside Areola's right-hand post. Doesn't get enough whip on it. In the end, it goes a yard wide. In
the National League, Woking 0, Altrincham 1. No other goals elsewhere in the Premier League yet. Rangers leading Livingston in Scotland thanks to Sam Lammers by a goal to 0. 12 minutes played here. 0-0 on Talksport 2. And don't forget, coming up following this game at 5:30, we've exclusive commentary from the Summer Nation series in Rugby Union, England against Wales, with Andrew McKenna and the team live from Twickenham. And later on this evening on Talksport, 9 o'clock, Anthony Joshua against Robert Hellenius. A rather shapeless start to this game, it must be said, with nearly 13 minutes played, 0-0. Both teams just settling down. Of course, there are new signings in the Bournemouth team, but for West Ham, it's same old, same old.
Yeah, I think out of the two managers, David Moyes will be quite happy because Areola really hasn't had a save to make. The West Ham shape looks pretty good. Paquetá getting himself on the ball in that sort of deeper position, trying to be the playmaker.
Emerson just allows the ball to bobble out of play on this near side, and it will be a throw into Bournemouth just in front of us here. And don't forget, Ali McCoy's back on breakfast on Monday from 6 o'clock, and on Tuesday Andy Townsend will be alongside him, and Jeff Stelling, the legendary broadcaster, will be joining Ali on breakfast over on Talksport from December, and Martin O'Neill will be with White and Jordan on Monday morning from 10 o'clock, with Martin Keown with them on Friday, and Simon is back every day from Monday.
There's just a little incident there that summed up this first 40 minutes where David Brooks just had the ball on the halfway line, probably about 10 yards in from the right-hand touchline. All he's got to do is roll it to Max Aarons, and he's just hit it too forcefully and knocked the ball out of play. So it completely quells the momentum. It's just been very fragmented, Nigel, isn't it, this first 14-15 minutes.
Now Zuma wide towards Soufal for West Ham on the far side, quickly closed down by Anthony, and West Ham will have a throw-in. And we talked about Bournemouth's poor home form last season. On the road, West Ham were pretty woeful as well. 3 wins, 3 draws and 13 defeats, only scoring 16 goals. Of course, they won here, and they did just enough in the end. Won more games in the Conference League than they did in the Premier League last season. Fornals with the cross in, looking for Souček at the near post, but it's cleared away by Zabarnyi, quickly returned by Emerson. Now Fornals able to turn down the left-hand side. Ben Rama breaks into the penalty area. Souček with the shot. It's off the inside of the post, and it's gathered by Neto, and West Ham inches away from the opening goal.
Really unlucky there, Thomas Souček. Good play on West Ham's left-hand side. Just comes into Fornals. He gets himself on the half turn, just flicks it with the outside of his right foot into the path of Thomas Souček. As he's sliding, he looks like he's hooked it past Neto and the Bournemouth goal. Neto turns round, and as he turns round, the ball just comes back straight into his midriff off the inside of the post. Really unlucky from West Ham.
15 minutes played, 0-0. Only 3 goals in 50 games for Thomas Souček last season, but he was inches away there. Now Soufal gathers for West Ham. Enterprising burst from him over the halfway line, wide towards Antonio, who was stumbling the moment he received it, and as a result it's cleared away by a combination of Senesi and Anthony. And in the sunshine here, but plenty of grey skies overhead, it will be a throw into Bournemouth on the far side there left. In League One, Cheltenham 0, Bolton 1, Dion Charles with the goal there. In League 2, Colchester lead Bradford by a goal to 0 thanks to Joe Taylor. And it's also Hartlepool 1, Gateshead 0.
Colchester's first league game of the season. Postponed
rained off last week.
Yeah, randomly. But I liked the reports that we got there that when there was puddles all over the pitch, then the old-fashioned way is to go and spike it, wasn't it, with the forks. Apparently there was 2 groundsmen just trying to get rid of about 29 massive puddles with 2 forks. And you think, no, that's not going to happen.
No, well, they don't have the super soakers in League 2 though, do they? Now Benrahma coming forward, neatly away from the challenge, and he's found Bowen down the right, who cuts in field into the penalty area. Bowen's shot is blocked. There's half-hearted appeals for handball, mainly from the crowd, but West Ham beginning to settle down here. Solanke claims he was the victim of a high boot on the halfway line from McGurd, but play continues. Paquetá slides it down the line left-hand side, looking for Benrahma, but it's overhit, and it's claimed by Neto. But Jared Bowen looking lively in the opening 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's Fornals just played in that number 10 position, just starting to drift laterally across the Bournemouth back 4, find himself in little pockets. This time it was on the right hand side, just got it into Jared Bowen, came onto his left foot. To be fair, Senesi actually went and closed him down, so Jared Bowen couldn't get his shot away.
Newport 2, Doncaster 0 in League 2. Will Evans with the second goal there. Doncaster also losing on the opening day as a high ball is played forward for Bournemouth, but it's cut out by Soufal, and now West Ham finding some joy down that right hand side with Fornals back towards Soufal. Bowen makes the run in behind again, but Senesi is able to cushion the header down to Christie, who clips the ball over the head of Fornals and looks to make progress up towards the halfway line. Smothering challenge made by Souček. Some of the Bournemouth supporters were looking for a free kick, but it's a throw into West Ham, and they've just began to take a grip on this game as we approach the midpoint of the first half. Antonio spins away from the challenge of Senesi, wide to Soufal down the right. The cross into the penalty area, bounces off the head of Kirkes, stays in play initially and then spins behind for the game's first corner for West Ham down their right.
Yeah, you can just tell at the moment, Nigel, the two sides. We said about West Ham was a bit samey, but the positive of that is they all know their roles, they all know their positions, and the structure's very, very good. And you said there was a little bit of shadow boxing the first 10 minutes. West Ham had just started to get a little bit more confidence, just passing the ball forward a little bit quicker. Corner for West Ham over on their right hand side. 19
minutes played in by Bowen towards the near post. Neto comes to punch, but Zuma got there first, but the header loops high over the crossbar. In the Championship, it's now Southampton 1, Norwich 1 thanks to Jan Bednarek, and in League 2 Grimsby lead at Notts County by a goal to 0 thanks to Danny Rose.
Yes, Southampton won the favourites, aren't they, for the Championship? Got to stop conceding goals though. They haven't kept a clean sheet now for 20 games. Very good up at Hillsborough, aren't they, against Sheffield Wednesday, first game of the season.
The relegated teams are always favourites to go back up, but often there can be a period of acclimatisation back in the Championship, the number of games if nothing else. Brooks now looks to spin away from Emerson on this near side. Emerson though does well to stand firm, but Brooks comes away with the ball. Paquetá with an untidy challenge on this near side. The home crowd around does want the free kick. Paquetá then nibbles in again to win it back from Billing and plays a long ball over the top, but shows his frustration. But in the midst of all the transfer activity swirling around Paquetá, he's suddenly become a midfield dynamo.
Yeah, he stayed playing that deep position. Looked like David Brooks had got the better of him just on this right hand side here. To be fair to Paquetá, that's the side of his game, guys, that you wouldn't really think that he had, where he used his body really well. He got his foot across David Brooks and just shouldered him off the ball, came away with it, and then he just tried to dink it into Michail Antonio and just needed to use a bit of an 8-iron, but in the end it was like a 3-iron and just smacked it through to Neto.
20 minutes played here. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0. Game Day Live with Adrian Durham underway over on Talksport with all the goals as they go in, as Solanke believes he was wrestled to the ground there by a gird, but then gets back to his feet when no free kick was given. In the National League, Dagenham 0, Southend 1, the latest scoreline in East London, as Benrahma blocks the ball with his hand on this near side as Zabani tries to play it forward, and it will be a free kick for the home side. But David Moyes just making 1 or 2 points to his team on the touchline, but I would think he's fairly satisfied so far.
Very much so. Is that technically a booking? Just putting his size 9 Umbros just half out of the technical area?
Well,
not that I'm being pedantic, Nigel, obviously.
No.
Oh, he's fully out of his technical area now. Surely that's a yellow card, isn't it, in the new rules?
He could argue, how big should the technical area be? Because they're certainly bigger at the London Stadium than they are here. Brooks having words with the assistant Daniel Roberthon on this near side. Again, he's having a good tussle with Emerson. Southampton now lead Norwich by 2-1, coming from behind. Adam Armstrong with the second there, and it's Woking 1, Altrincham 1 in the National League as Emerson plays it forward again. Benrahma losing out to Billing, and at times it's just been a bit too frenetic to be a good game of football.
Yeah, you get this a lot in your first game of the season, where obviously you want to impose yourself on the opposition. There's a lot of hustle and bustle. It just takes maybe 20-25 minutes, just as I said, to get your second wind, to set yourself down a little bit. From Bournemouth's point of view, they've been giving the ball away needlessly on a few occasions, but now they're just trying to get a little passing move going with Max Aarons coming inverted from this right-hand side, going inside David Brooks.
Don't forget, double bill of rugby coming up on Talksport 2 at 5:30. England against Wales, followed at 8:05 by France against Scotland, as Antonio comes forward for West Ham again on the far side. He's carried the ball a long way. His goal side of Senesi looks to deliver the cross in the end. Anthony has to come all the way back and make the challenge and concede the corner.
That was archetypal Antonio, wasn't it? Just getting the ball on the right-hand side, exactly down that right-hand side. And that happened because Kirkes, again, just tried to roll it into Ryan Christie, gave the ball away. Antonio's gone storming down that right-hand side. You said that Anthony comes back, so he's got Kirkes and Anthony trying to get the ball off of him, use his body really well, in the end gets a corner for West Ham on their right.
Jared Bowen will take it in towards that near post again, flicked on by Souček, and he got too much on it, and it's high over the top. In the Championship, West Brom 1, Swansea 0, Semi Ajayi with the opening goal at the Hawthorns.
Yes, the second time that Jared Bowen's tried that corner. Obviously Souček, massive physical presence at the near post. Second time he's got to hit his head to it, but he just needs to just graze it on the top of his head to flick it to the far post. He's hit it with his forehead and it's gone 30 yards over the crossbar.
Well, St Mary's the place for goals today. 4 in the opening 23 minutes. It's now Southampton 2, Norwich 2. 1-0 up, 2-1 down, now 2-2. Gabriel Sara there. Swindon 1, Crewe 0 in League 2. And Wrexham lead at Wimbledon by 1-0 thanks to Elliot Lee. And in Scotland, Rangers lead Livingston by 2-0.
Just looking at Bournemouth, Nige, obviously they're having possession with their two centre-halves, Banyi and Senesi, but there's not enough movement in front of them at the moment. You've got Rothwell who's playing at the base of the midfield, so there needs to be more interchange between Philip Billing and Ryan Christie.
Rothwell, though, neatly spins away from Fornals and finds Brooks. Quickly on towards Billing down the right, cuts it back low into the penalty area, and it was Souček who came all the way back, and in the end he concedes a corner kick on this near side.
Well, I think Philip Billing must be listening to our commentary now, wasn't he, because he just dropped deep, played a little 1-2 with David Brooks. David Brooks has released him on that right-hand side. He should be whipping the ball across the 6-yard box. He tries to pick out Dominic Solanke, gets cut out by West Ham. Corner for Bournemouth on their right.
David Brooks will take it. Billing will be one of the targets at the near post. It's beyond Billing, and in the end it's cleared away well by Souček, who dived in bravely ahead of Senesi. Back towards Brooks though again. just in front of us down the Bournemouth right. Infield to Christie. Could open up for the left-footed curler. He drives it low. And I think that Areola maybe saw it late coming through the crowd, but readjusted and made a comfortable save.
Well, it was a P-roller to Areola, because as Christie comes in off on this right-hand side onto his left foot, what he needs to do is just start it probably a yard outside Areola's right-hand post. In the end, he scuffs it with his left foot off of his ankle and just rolls harmlessly through to him.
Currently Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0. For the latest odds, head to 888 Sport, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage. Right now you can get a Bournemouth win at 2-1, the draw at 2-1, a West Ham win at 11-8, all thanks to 888 Sport. Made to challenge, made to debate, made to play. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. 26 minutes played. Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0. Elsewhere, Ipswich leads Stoke by a goal to 0. Luke Wolfenden with the opening goal. Izzy Minter, our producer, gave us a reaction there which suggested there had been a goal at Portman Road.
Is that why she was pointing phonetically at your screen?
Yes. Newport 3, Doncaster 0 in League 2. An own goal from Richard Wood. And Rotherham, thanks to Hakeem Adofan, lead Blackburn by a goal to 0 in the Championship. And in League 2, Walsall leads Stockport 1-0 thanks to Daddy Johnson and Sam Hoskins. Northampton's talisman has put them 1-up at Wigan in League 1 as Paquetá wires into Ryan Fraser on this, to Christie on this near side, and it will be a free kick.
Yeah, just Ryan Christie getting the ball out of his feet. Yeah, and it was a sandwich between Paquetá and Emerson. Quite rightly, Peter Banks, the referee, gave the free kick.
Brooks and Rothwell are over it, and Bournemouth have gradually worked their way back into the game here with 27 minutes played, 0-0. The West Ham have not capitalised on a couple of decent chances, with Souček hitting the post.
There's all West Ham defence apart from Tudor lined up along the 18-yard box, keep the high line.
Rothwell with the free kick high to the far post. Souček does well to head the ball away. It's nodded back in by Billing, and in the end Anthony was looking to turn, but Zuma got there first with a solid challenge to clear the ball up to the halfway line, but it will come straight back. Billing does well to lay it back to Brooks under pressure. His ball forward though towards the edge of the penalty area, cut out by a Gerd, and now Antonio twisting and turning with no real support just inside the West Ham half, but he's a good player and he does well to bide his time and play it wide to Soufal on the far side. And now Antonio with a raking ball from right to left, and he's picked out Benrahma. That was splendid play. Benrahma now bursting into the penalty area, lays it back, and Fornals with the shot never really got hold of it, and it's cleared away by Kerkers, and Bournemouth with the opportunity to break themselves now over the halfway line with Brooks. Christie peels away to this near side. Solanke, the only player inside the penalty area for Bournemouth, and the ball forward doesn't find him, and it's swooped on by Areola. And in League 1 it's Orient 0, Portsmouth 1 thanks to Marlon Pack.
That was fantastic play by Mikel Antonio, just dropping deep to help his team out defensively. When the ball came into him, you had Jaden Anthony try and buzz him around like a little bee, just shouldered him off, got himself spun round, and that was like a Tom Brady quarterback pass, Nigel, fully 60-70 yards from right to left. Fantastic first touch from Benrahma. As the ball dropped out of the air, he just took it on the half volley basically, and I could see Andoni Iraola, the Bournemouth manager, screaming at Max Aarons that he wasn't close enough to Benrahma and allowed him to come inside. In the end, Fornals couldn't get a good contact on his shot, but brilliant play from Mikel Antonio.
If it was a Tom Brady style pass, I would imagine Birmingham will be doing them a good deal in the Championship this season.
He's not there just for show, apparently, is he, Tom Brady? He's there just to help the players if their diets.
He's going to come on if they're 2-0 down and inspire a miracle
like
comeback.
Hail Mary flying in all over the place.
Tom Brady is apparently in the pub, or was in the pub, before the game today. Birmingham City at St Andrews. That's one way to ingratiate yourself with the locals. Solanke now chasing forward, and Zuma with a desperate challenge. He was maybe slightly fortunate not to concede an own goal, because he'd had to loft the ball back towards his own goalkeeper, but he took out Areola, and it's over the top for a corner.
Yeah, Bournemouth trying a little bit more direct there from Max Aarons. Dominic Solanke coming short on spinning, trying to get in behind Kurt Zuma. wasn't good communication between Areola and Kurt Zouma. In the end, Kurt Zouma did the right thing, just made sure that he slid and hooked the ball over his left shoulder for corner for Bournemouth on their right.
Brooks again with a deeper corner this time, headed away acrobatically by Zouma, who then waves his arms vigorously to tell his team to push out here. Wide from Nuttall towards Christie for Bournemouth on this near side. In League Two, Gillingham lead Accrington by a goal to nil thanks to Ashley Nadeson. And in the Championship, Preston 1-up on Sunderland thanks to Will Keane. Here it is 0-0 with just over half an hour played on Talksport 2 at the Vitality Stadium. Pleasantly mild but grey afternoon on the south coast as Benrahma pokes the ball in field on this near side. Emerson back to Paquetá, who's had a surprisingly vigorous opening to this game.
Yeah, you can't question his attitude. David Moyes said that he'd had his head turned, didn't he, during the week with a bid from Man City, which is understandable, but he's been the consummate professional today, especially playing in that...
I don't mean surprisingly vigorous because he may be off, but that's not really his game.
No, exactly, especially playing in that deeper role. He normally plays as number 10. I think that's what Man City would see him playing a bit further forward, but if he can add that string to his bow, then he becomes even more valuable.
More live football coming up on Talksport on Monday night. Exclusive national radio commentary of Manchester United against Wolves with Adrian Durham, Sam Matterface and Danny Murphy. And we will have the first Women's World Cup semi-final from 9 a.m. on Tuesday. That will be Spain against Sweden with Faye, Joe Shannon and Leanne Sanderson, and they will be back on duty on Wednesday for England's semi-final against Australia. Tuesday night around the grounds on Talksport with Adrian Durham, Chris Owelamo, Danny Cowley, Mickey Gray and Adrian Clark. Barnsley against Peterborough will be the commentary game here on Talksport 2. And we've also got a double helping on Friday. Forest against Sheffield United in the Premier League with Hugh Woolsoncroft, Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce. And Leeds against West Brom will be live on Talksport 2 with Adrian Durham, Mark Wilson and Lucy Ward. So a very busy week coming up, and every week is a busy week on the Talksport network during the football season. Cheltenham 0, Bolton 2, an own goal from Liam Smith in League One. Brooks now for Bournemouth on this near side, the right. He's got Aarons on the outside, but the low ball into the penalty area takes a flick off first Souček and then Solanke, loops high into the air and into the arms of Areola.
That was just like a sort of half and half shot come across, wasn't it, there from David Brooks as he cut in on his left hand side. I don't think he made his mind up what he was going to do, and in the end he just sort of smashed it into the middle of West Ham's 18-yard box there. Just got a slight deflection of Kurt Zouma and just looped up in the air, and it was a simple catch for Areola. Bournemouth have dominated possession, Nige, but they haven't really troubled, have they, Areola, in the West Ham goal. He's had that one shot from Ryan Christie that just rolled through to him. Apart from that, West Ham have looked pretty comfortable at the back.
And now an opportunity for West Ham to break. Benrahma down the centre, fighting Souček wide towards Bowen, who breaks into the penalty area right hand side, crossed in towards the near post, but an acrobatic header behind in the end from Senesi, and it will be another West Ham corner.
Yeah, again, good play from West Ham on their right hand side. Souček just releasing Jarrod Bowen. He goes on the outside of Kirkes, gets past him too easily, gets to the byline, tries to cut it back, cut out by Senesi at the near post. Another corner for West Ham over their right hand side.
Bowen again with another in-swinger. This time it's flicked on by Paquetá, and Zouma was almost in at the far post, but it was very calm defending from Philip Billing to avoid a certain goal for West Ham.
That's the third corner that Jarrod Bowen just driven in to near post. Great flick on from Paquetá. Agonisingly just goes past Michelangio's right big toe. And he said there it looked like that Kurt Zouma was going to smash it in the back of Bournemouth's net. And it was very cool defending from Philip Billing.
Now Benrahma strikes a shot in, but it whizzes over the top. He did well to ride the challenge of Aarons on the edge of the penalty area, and he had space to deliver, but it was just too high.
Just West Ham starting to put a little bit of pressure on. Said there, Benrahma coming in from that left hand side, really should be in the target, doesn't really trouble Neto. but Bournemouth have got to make sure from those corners. As I said, that's the fourth one from that right-hand side, in-swinger from Jared Byrne, that they're trying to get it to that near post. The first three was to Thomas Souček. That one, it was from Paquetá, who just run laterally along the 6-yard box.
Fleetwood 0, Cambridge 1 in League One. Paul Digby with the opening goal there. Jack Clark with a penalty has equalised for Sunderland at Preston. It's 1-1 there, and Bolton are 3 up at Cheltenham in League One. Dion Charles with his second goal of the day, and Sinclair Armstrong with the opening goal for Queen's Park Rangers. They lead at Cardiff by a goal to 0, and James Norwood with his first goal for Oldham in the National League. They're a goal up against Aldershot. And Sutton also lead at Barrow in League Two thanks to Lee Angle. Here it is 0-0 with 36 minutes played on Talksport 2 on a day when Arsenal have already beaten Nottingham Forest and England's women have reached the World Cup semi-final, and in the Championship Coventry have beaten Middlesbrough by 3-0. Paquetá with an intelligent ball forward again to find Ben Rama. Everything to his right-hand side, including Soufal. Soufal lifts in the cross. Bowen with a glancing header. It'll come to Fornals at the far post. Quickly back to the Ben Rama. He claims he was pushed inside the area by Brooks. Nothing given initially by the referee, and it's quickly cleared downfield by Neto, who slashes wide to this near side, but Agurd rises above Solanke, and it will be a throw-in to Bournemouth.
Yeah, I've said it's Fornals and Paquetá becoming very influential for West Ham. Got a good link-up play. This time it's Fornals who goes down the left-hand side, gets the byline, and what he's got to do now, he's just got to roll it back to side Ben Rama so he can get his left foot shot away, and he actually fires it at him, and in the end it makes Fornals fall over because he's trying to get his feet sorted out. So it's just a little bit care on that final pass.
Brighton 1, Luton 0 in the Premier League. Solly March with the opening goal. So Luton are a goal down in their first match at this level since 1992. Goalless elsewhere in the Premier League, including here. 37 minutes played as Ben Rama picks up a loose ball from Anthony, quickly plays it down the side looking for Antonio, but it was well anticipated by Zabani.
Just looking at Jayden Anthony, he's been out on that left-hand side. Obviously he's getting a little bit frustrated because he's become a bit more central now, and Ryan Christie's gone out to the left. I think from Andonia Iriola, the Bournemouth manager, he's got to try and do something. He's got to try and do something so that Bournemouth can get control of the game, because West Ham, as time's gone on, they've just grown into it.
Christie working hard to win it back from Souček, and then Christie was caught by a combination of Souček and Bowen on the far side, and it will be a free kick, and the ball was kicked away there by Bowen, and as a result, with the new directive, that's a yellow card.
That beggars belief for someone who the Premier League have been round, the FA have been round to tell him, so it's a foul from Souček on Christie. Bowen comes away with the ball, and he said there, Nigel, as he just takes a touch, his second touch, he just boots it away, and Peter Banks looked at him as if to say, have you not heard the directives? This isn't my fault.
Were you not in the meeting?
Exactly, I'm gonna have to book you because you've been stupid.
Well, we've all had the meetings. Free kick high into the penalty area, nodded away by Zuma. It could go out for a corner on this near side, and Billing ensures it does by just blocking the run of Agurd on this near side. In the Championship, Hull 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Callum Patterson. And in the Premier League, Brighton leading Luton by a goal to 0 earlier. Arsenal beating Nottingham Forest by 2-1. At half-time here, we will be live at St James's Park to preview the 5:30 game, Newcastle against Aston Villa. Oldham 2, Aldershot 0 in the National League. Brooks with the corner, high into the penalty area, double-fisted away by Areola, up towards the halfway line, but it's controlled by Nuttall. And now Aarons scoots forward in characteristic style and plays it back towards Christie. And maybe the balance of the midfield is not quite right for Bournemouth. They've shuffled things around. Anthony often at his best when he's playing as a wing-back with maybe a bit more room down the left-hand side. Now Christie again. Lofts it wide towards the left, and now there is room for Anthony. He controls the ball, but Bowen supports Soufal, and Soufal as a result follows Anthony in midfield, but it's back to Nuttall. The no-look pass from him to find Solanke. Solanke back towards Christie, and now Brooks with a curler, and it's turned away by Areola. Comfortable save in the end from him. Paquetá has almost given the ball away. Bournemouth had plenty of numbers on this near side, but in the end, Paquetá and Emerson work their way through them. Paquetá then goes down, and that will be a free kick to West Ham.
Yeah, that attack there from Bournemouth all started, as you said there, Nigel, a brilliant reverse pass. He gave the West Ham midfield the eyes, where Raphael just pinged it into Dominic Solanke. Comes back to David Brooks, and again I think he was really starting to try and start that ball about a yard outside Areola's far right hand post. In the end he hits it in the centre of the goal. Simple save from Areola, sort of made a meal with it. I think he could have actually gathered it if he has soft hands. In the end he palmed it away and didn't clear the danger.
In the National League, Ebbsfleet 0, Solihull 1. Here we played 41 minutes and it's still Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0. On Talksport 2, live Premier League action. On a very busy day of sport, we have rugby union coming up following this game. England against Wales, take 2 at Twickenham this time, with Andrew McKenna in the team from 5:15, followed by France against Scotland. A high ball played forward again for Bournemouth, taken down well by Anthony, and Christie over the top, and the space and time for Kirkes to control the ball. The early cross into the penalty area deflected, missed kick by Agurd, who then bravely stooped in to win it back from Christie, but Bournemouth will come again on this near side with Brooks on towards Christie. The cutback is blocked by Paquetá. Appeals for handball mainly from the crowd on the ground. Paquetá does well to bring the ball under control, almost pirouette with his backside, and then he's pushed over by Christie by the corner flag, and that will be a free kick.
It's an unnecessary foul there from Ryan Christie, but he got himself involved. First it was a fantastic ball, releasing Anthony down that right hand side, and then release Kirkes, and Kirkes should be actually just trying to whip the ball across the 6-yard box, but in the end he tries to cut it back. It comes to Ryan Christie. He finds himself just shoulders off the ball by Paquetá, who did brilliantly to come back with his defensive duties. And then Ryan Christie's got Paquetá where he wants him. The two number 10s battle each other, and don't give him that out. Don't push him in his back, because he's facing the corner flag. Nigel, he's going nowhere. Just a needless foul from Ryan Christie.
John Bostock with an equaliser for Notts County. 1-1 for them in League 2 at home to Grimsby. 0-0 here with 2 minutes of normal time to play in the first half, and we'll wait and see how much added time we have. I don't think either medical team have been on during the first half, no. Now Billing, wide towards Anthony again. Billing will chase, but Zuma with the final touch, and it's another Bournemouth corner.
Yeah, corner for Bournemouth over on their left hand side. Jaden Ante will take it. West Ham will defend zonally along their 6-yard box. Souček at the near post. Kurt Zuma in the middle of the 6-yard box. So Jaden Ante just makes sure that he misses Paquetá, who's at the near post.
In the end, he plays it short. It's back towards Christie. Slid into the penalty area, flicked on by Solanke. It was a planned move, but the touch from Solanke was just a bit too heavy for Anthony, who was making tracks into the 6-yard area down the left, and it bobbles behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, that was one off the training ground, just trying to vary it up a little bit. Jaden Ante just rolling it back to Ryan Christie. Great little reverse pass into Dominic Solanke, and you said there all he needs is just to cushion it into Philip Billings' path. Just too heavy a touch from the outside of his right foot, but a little bit of invention and ingenuity there from Bournemouth, which you like to see on set pieces.
Salford 0, Crawley 1 in League 2, an own goal from Luke Garbett, as West Ham look to play out from the back on the far side, and in the end Zuma under pressure is closed down, but West Ham do have a throw-in in front of their supporters, all on their feet, decked out in claret, blue and white. Paquetá again stumbles away from a challenge, but he's lost out. Anthony finding Solanke, who can burst into the penalty area. He's quickly held up by Zuma. Anthony with another cross in. Billing was making the run in behind on that occasion, but again it's blocked by West Ham, and Paquetá has it on the far side. Tries to pirouette away from Anthony, goes down clutching his ankle as he lost the ball anyway, and West Ham do get a free kick. Just a single minute of added time at the end of the first half.
Well, there's a collector's item.
Could be this season.
Exactly. I'm going to go out on the limb and say you'll probably never see that again for the rest of this season. 1 minute of added time. So, do you think that's the new rules that are being taken on board on the time wasting side of it? Apart from Jarrod Bowen needlessly kicking the ball away, because we haven't seen anybody stay down injured, have we? Paquetá tried to pretend he had a hip injury, and Peter Banks, referee, wasn't having it. He got himself up nice and quickly, and the game was flowed quite smoothly.
Maybe it is. Maybe there is white smoke drifting away from the Vitality Stadium.
As Bob Dylan once said, the times, they are a-changing.
Oldham 3, Aldershot 0 in the National League. Izzy's far too young for that. She's looking at you with a very quizzical look on her face.
I have no idea who Bob Dylan is.
Well, that's half-time. Muted applause around the Vitality Stadium. 0-0. West Ham with the best opportunities. We've saw Thomas Souček hitting the inside of the post, but neither goalkeeper has really had a shot to save.
You have to say the pace of the game was really good, Nige. It was there's a lot of endeavour, a lot of effort, but the first 20 minutes especially, the passing was going astray, especially from Bournemouth. They're trying to get their fullbacks pushed high up the pitch. They didn't really get control of the midfield area. I've got to say I've been really impressed with Lucas Paquetá, because obviously it's been reported about Man City's interest. He's playing in that sort of holding midfield role, and we all know about his capabilities on the ball, but off the ball he's been tracking back. He's been very, very physical, won probably about 4 or 5 50-50s, and done a really good job in there for West Ham.
And looking at Bournemouth, of course, a new manager, maybe a new style of football, and at the moment it does look a work in progress.
Yeah, it just looks like that the cogs need oiling, nice, isn't it? They're not particularly smooth at the moment. They're trying to implement his ideas, but with Philip Binning playing a little bit advanced and then swapping with Ryan Christie, Joe Ruffrell at the base of that midfield, I think you just need more movement. There's been times in the first half where Zabanyi and Senesi, the two Bournemouth centre-halves, have split the width of the 18-yard box, but they need more movement in front of him. So the three players that I mentioned are essential there, Christie, Billing and Rothwell. Maybe they've got to be a little bit more fluid, which they tried to do in the last 15 minutes that first half. Areola really hasn't had a dangerous save to make. No, he's been very comfortable in a couple of shots, one from Christie that just p-rolled to him. David Brooks had another shot from the 18-yard box, his left foot. Again, it was a simple save from Areola, but West Ham had the best chance with Thomas Souček, where he hit the inside of the post and the ball nestled back into Neto's hands.
Thanks to Perry Groves. More from him coming up in the second half. A reminder of the situation elsewhere. 2 results earlier on from the quarter-finals of the Women's World Cup. Live on Talksport 2, England beat Colombia by 2-1. They will meet Australia in the semi-finals. They beat France on penalties 7-6 following a 0-0 draw in Brisbane. On Talksport, Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest by 2-1 at 12:30. 0-0 here. Brighton lead Fulham by 1-0, and it's currently goalless between Everton and Fulham, and Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. In the Championship, on Talksport 2, Coventry 3, Middlesbrough 0 at 12:30. Elsewhere at the moment, Birmingham 0, Leeds 0, Cardiff 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1, Huddersfield 0, Leicester 0, Hull 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Ipswich 1, Stoke 0, Millwall 0, Bristol City 0, Preston 1, Sunderland 1, Rotherham 1, Blackburn 0, Southampton 2, Norwich 3 close to half-time, Watford 0, Plymouth 0, and it's West Brom 1, Swansea 0. In League One, Bristol Rovers 0, Barnsley 1, Burton 0, Derby 1, Cheltenham 0, Bolton 3, Exeter 0, Blackpool 0, Fleetwood 0, Cambridge 1, Orient 0, Portsmouth 1, Lincoln 0, Wickham 0, Oxford 0, Carlisle 0, Peterborough 0, Charlton 0, and it's also goalless at Port Vale and Stevenage. And Wigan trail Northampton by 1-0. And the games with goals in League 2, Wimbledon 0, Wrexham 1, Barrow 0, Sutton 1, Bradford 0, Colchester 1, Gillingham 1, Accrington 0, Mansfield 1, Morecambe 0, Milton Keynes 1, Tranmere 0, Newport 3, Doncaster 0, Notts County 1, Grimsby 1, Salford 0, Crawley 1, Swindon 1, Crewe 0, and Walsall 1, Stockport County 0. So you are up to date with the scores elsewhere on Talksport 2 so far. Let's look ahead to this afternoon's Premier League action with Now.
Stay ahead of the game on Talksport 2 with Now. Stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Aston Villa live today for $11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
And a very attractive game at St James's Park today. Newcastle against Aston Villa. Talksport's Steve Harmison is there. Good afternoon, Steve.
Good afternoon.
This should be tremendous because we've got two teams now full of confidence after what happened last season and what's happened as well so far during the transfer window.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a fascinating, a fantastic game of football. I think both sides who have, on the up, they've got two managers, with a way of playing which is forward thinking. They're trying to sort of create chances and go for results, and because of that, they're both going to have, or both sets of supporters are dusting their passports off, and they're going overseas throughout this season in Conference League with Aston Villa and obviously Newcastle in the Champions League. So for me, I think they'll be looking to carry on from where they left off. I think Newcastle have had a decent pre-season with the games that they've played. They played 2 games at St James's Park where all their players got a run out. The only one that's missing really is Joe Willock, who had a brilliant season last season and got injured right at the end. So I'd imagine Tonali will make his debut. It'll be touch and go whether Barnes plays over Gordon. We'll find out at 4:30. And from Villa point of view, heartbreaking for Bendina, who got injured and who played in nearly every game for Aston Villa last year, who will be a massive miss. And I think everybody wishes him a speedy recovery because no one to see an ACL injury right at the start of the season. But I think Aston Villa have recruited well with Pau Torres and Moussa Diaby. So I think this game is going to be a great game of football.
And with Newcastle, Steve, you mentioned the Champions League. That can often take a real toll on clubs who aren't used to it. So maybe they need more reinforcements before September the 1st. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think Eddie said yesterday he wanted at least one more. I think a lot of people put 2 and 2 together and read between the lines that no Kieran Tierney at Arsenal today, and whether that is something that Newcastle would like to explore. I think it will be a defender, probably a centre half, but I know Newcastle do like Tierney, and they're going to need reinforcements throughout the squad. But from where Newcastle have been and where they're at this moment in time, they had a lot of luck last year where their back four especially, that was the big thing for me. Their back four, Nick Pope, Trippier, Botman, Shaw and Byrne, they missed 5 games between them all season, and that's where Newcastle were really lucky last year with injuries. And if they can have that same luck, I think the Champions League, yes, it's a great distraction, but I think they've got players who are durable. And what it seems to be, especially when you're winning, we all know what it's like, Nigel, when you're winning, they all want to play football, they all want to be on a field, so that is a good sign for Newcastle.
That's Steve Harmison, thanks to him at St James's Park. That was a look ahead to this afternoon's Premier League action. Don't forget that with Now, you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle against Aston Villa. Live today for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports.
Stay ahead of the game on Talksport 2 with Now. Stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Aston Villa live today for $11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
And coming up shortly here on Talksport 2, live from the Vitality Stadium, the second half of Bournemouth against West Ham, 0-0 at half-time. This is the Premier League live on Game Day on Talksport 2.
Game Day exclusive on Talksport 2 with Now. Stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Aston Villa live today for $11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Friend, bag yourself some Sainsbury's, One Stop, Asda, Co-op, Iceland on Just Eat. For your hostess with the mostest self, barbecue chef self. I can't believe I forgot that self. Help yourselves to some alfresco brunchy bits, summer salad stuffs, snackety snacks. Get your groceries delivered pronto quick shop now. Delivered for free. Groceries, we got it.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Participating stores only. Subject to availability and store opening times. Minimum spend applies. Service charges and other charges apply. See justeat.co.uk for more details.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
You what? You what? You what? You what? You what? You're not watching the big footy games in a pub and grill fan zone at Village Hotels? Who are ya? Premier League and big games on giant screens, stadium seats, great lineup of beers, and dirty burgers and bar snacks to tackle. Plus, win big game tickets, beer for a year, and other great prizes. Visit villagehotels.com/Talksport. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Always drink responsibly. Who are ya?
Screwfix Sprint delivers from store to door in 60 minutes or less. So, whatever the job, you can do it with less stalling and more sawing, less drive time and more site time. So don't break your stride. Screwfix Sprint. Order now exclusively on a Screwfix app. £5 delivery charge, no minimum spend. Don't stop. Sprint. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply. Selected products.
Gameplay. Pushing the apex of live football.
The biggest and best football on the radio.
Game day exclusive.
On Talksport 2.
As the sun comes out, the first 3 o'clock kickoff of the Premier League season here on Talksport 2. Solanke back towards Christie, and now Brooks with a curler, and it's turned away by Areola. Comfortable save in the end from him. Bowen again with another in-swinger. This time it's flicked on by Paquetá, and Zuma was almost in. A mistake by Agurd inside the penalty area. Solanke lays it back to Brooks with a curler, and he hit it very precisely, left-footed but just wide. Cornell's able to turn down the left-hand side. Ben Rama breaks into the penalty area. Souček with the shot. It's off the inside of the post, and it's gathered by Neto, and West Ham inches away from the opening goal. So 0-0 here at half-time on Talksport 2, live from the Vitality Stadium. Let's bring you reaction now to England's 2-1 win over Colombia in the Women's World Cup quarter-final, which was live on Talksport 2 earlier today. Serena Wiegman's side will now face the co-hosts Australia in the semi-finals on Wednesday. That will be live on the Talksport network. And after the game, she spoke to our England reporter, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Serena Wiegman, thank you for joining us first of all, and congratulations. We joked yesterday in here saying, can you make it a bit easier on the nerves? It was slightly easier, but still a bit nervy in the end.
Yeah, well, we don't expect anything to be easy in this tournament, and that's what we saw again today. Although I thought the first half we were dominating the game, only in the counter-attacks they were so dangerous when they got to our final third. And we conceded a goal, but very good that we scored the 1-1 before half-time. On the second half, when we scored the 2-1, then after it became a little chaotic, and then it gets a little bit on your nerves, of course, because you want to get through that game. But I think it was a little better than the game against Nigeria.
You know, in terms of you've done something you've not had to do before, you've had to come from behind. So how proud are you for the resilience of the girls to do that, and the timing of the goal, as you say, before half-time was fantastic as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the answer on that goal was just really good. It shows the resilience of this team and the togetherness of this team, and we are here with a purpose, and you can see in everything what we do, what we want. And of course the opponents are so good too, so you don't have any guarantees, but we're trying to be at our best and do the best thing and finding a way to win, and today we did that again.
In terms of just before the game, obviously Australia were playing. Did you sort of know the result before you were going on the pitch, or was it just focusing on Colombia?
No, we were focusing, but of course you couldn't miss it, because especially with the penalty shootout, the whole stadium here was making noise, so we could follow a little bit. We couldn't miss that one.
That's Serena Wiegman talking to Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. England into their third successive Women's World Cup semi-final. It will be live on the Talksport network on Wednesday. Talksport 2 on Tuesday from 9 o'clock. We'll have the first semi-final, and that will be Spain against Sweden. So there will be a new winner of the Women's World Cup, a new name on the trophy in 2023. All of the big names going out relatively early, or the previous big names, and England are right in their pitching for the World Cup this time around. Perry Groves has rejoined me here at the Vitality Stadium. goalless at half-time. Which manager do you think will be looking to maybe tweak one or two things?
Well, it'd have to be Andoni Iraola, the new Bournemouth manager, because they're obviously at home. They need to force it a bit more. I think from Bournemouth's point of view, you can tell that obviously he's just trying to change the style, build out from the back, go through the lines, where maybe under Gary O'Neill, under Stanley, they were probably a little bit more direct, because they was at the bottom of the Premier League when he took over. But it takes a while to implement your ideas. You can't just come in and have sort of one pre-season. I mentioned earlier, Nigel, when talking to Faye about, I think that he's maybe been, Bill Foley, the owner, has looked up the south coast at Brighton and thought, that's sexy football. That's the way that I want my club's team to play, and play on the front foot, and play attractive, imaginative football. But Brighton have been evolving that sort of style over 10 to 12 years, where you can't just
with more than one manager.
Exactly, yeah. From Chris Houghton to Graham Potter, then into De Zerbi. Obviously, their recruitment's been fantastic. So this is a group of players that have been sort of ingrained in one style. I know we've got two making the debut for Bournemouth, Kirkes and Max Aarons at fullback, but they're not really the ones that get themselves on the ball and dictate the play. They're the ones who receive the second or third pass afterwards. So I think that you might look to make changes. You've got Ahmed Traore on the bench. You've got Kiefer Moore who can come on up front. You've got Semenyo as well, who can give you a little bit of pace and movement. From West Ham's point of view, I think David Moyes will be, fairly pleased. They look quite solid, although Bournemouth dominated possession. We said before they didn't really trouble Areola too much, and West Ham had the best chance. Souček was unlucky when the ball came off the inside of the post. So I think of the two managers, at half-time, David Moyes will be probably the happier one.
And we are back underway here at the Vitality Stadium on Talksport 2. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0 at half-time. The two sides once again. Bournemouth Neto in goal. Aarons, Senesi, Zabarnyi and Kirkes the back four. Christie and Rothwell in midfield. Anthony, Billings and Brooks behind Solanke. Paquetá with a ball lofted over the top for West Ham, but it's claimed by Neto. West Ham, Areola in goal. Soufal, Zuma, Agerd and Emerson the back four. And it's Fornells and Souček in midfield. Bowen, Paquetá and Benrahma behind Antonio. And neither number 9 has had too much service so far, as a high ball is played forward again for Bournemouth, nodded away by Emerson, who had his best season in terms of Premier League starts for West Ham, compared to 5 years at Chelsea where he barely featured. As Aarons now made his name at Norwich with buccaneering runs forward, tries one there, but he was just clipped by Paquetá, and it will be a free kick to Bournemouth, 15 yards inside the West Ham half, on the far side, the Bournemouth right. In warm sunshine here now at the Vitality Stadium. Patches of blue sky overhead, and Bournemouth looking to really set the tone at the start of the second half. The free kick in towards the near post, headed away though by Paquetá, who has really been the player of the match so far by some distance, as Emerson scoops it away for West Ham over the halfway line. Chasing was Benrahma, but Benrahma loses out, and in the end it's clipped forward by Zabarnyi, looking for Anthony, who's quick but not that quick, and Soufal will head it back towards Areola.
That's the second time that Zabarnyi's given the ball away under no pressure whatsoever. The first time he could just dinked it into Dominic Solanke and he smashed it overhead, and again Dominic Solanke didn't say anything to him. You should be absolutely berating him, just saying, just feed it into me so I can get hold of the ball.
Soufal on this near side for West Ham, lays it back to Souček, but it's quickly cut out by Christie, and Kirkes will bring it forward now for Bournemouth. Just in front of us on this near side, he's challenged by Fornells, who stridently claims it should be a West Ham throw-in, and the assistant agrees. It's taken quickly by Souček, looking for Bowen, but he runs it out of play with very little room in which to manoeuvre, and it will be a throw-in to Bournemouth.
Jared Bowen just said to Thomas Souček there, what do you expect me to do with that? You've actually thrown me the ball along the touchline, and I've got Kirkes who's just coming in behind me. Where am I going to go? If I take a touch, all I'm going to do is just put it out of play.
Harrogate 0, Forest Green 1 at the start of the second half in League 2. Matt Stevens with the opening goal, as Antonio has been fouled by Senesi here. It's taken quickly by Antonio. Bowen inside the penalty area, pokes it back behind Benrahma, and that was an opportunity missed. And there will be a yellow card here for Antonio, maybe showing his frustration at that, because he caught Kirkes late, and he's the second West Ham player booked.
Yeah, he was just involved in the last two actions there. Antonio for West Ham. First, he did brilliantly. He said took a quick free kick, just released Jared Bowen. And again, it's the wrong decision. He tries to cut the ball back to Souček. He should just be rolling it across the 6-yard box. And then Antonio just trying to come back and nick the ball off of Kirkes. And he unfortunately just stands on his foot. I'm not sure if that's a booking knife, to be fair. He hasn't actually booted him, is he, in the calf or whatever. He just tried to sort of nick the ball and it just mistimed it.
And now Bournemouth looking to build themselves with 4 minutes played in the second half. Aarons down the line for Solanke. On the right, Solanke goes to ground but plays it back towards Aarons, who lofts in the cross. Anthony was waiting, but Souček clears, and then the volley from Brooks forces an outstanding save from Areola. Brooks saw that ball dropping from a long, long way, but he executed the right-footed volley superbly, and Areola matched it with the save.
Fantastic volley from David Brooks. As the ball drops out the sky, he's actually running backwards to the edge of the 18-yard box. He's watching it onto his laces, gets the rainbow-shaped volley. He said good save from Areola. He tips it over crossbar, corner for Bournemouth on their right.
Corner which Brooks will take on the far side, in towards that near post, flicked on by Zabani. Volley clear at the far post by Antonio. One or two crisp packets beginning to blow around the playing surface here as the wind picks up and West Ham pick up the ball, but Fornals is closed down by Aarons, but his clearance only finds Soufal, but Soufal running out of room on this near side, and Senesi will nudge him out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Bournemouth.
They're just a little bit sharper, Bournemouth, in this second half. You know that Andoni Areola, the Bournemouth manager, has obviously been disappointed at half-time, thinking that their passing has been too slow, get themselves on the ball quicker, just 1 and 2 touch. Exactly what they've done in 5 minutes at the beginning of the second half. Rothwell dropping a little bit deeper and just trying to roll it into David Brooks. But unfortunately, his little flick around the corner to Max Aarons just a little bit too hard and gives the possession away to West Ham.
5 minutes into the second half, 0-0 here at the Vitality Stadium, as Paquetá is challenged on the far side by Billing, and it will be a throw-in to West Ham. And now Benrahma gathers and scoots in field, almost picks out Antonio, but it's a last-ditch challenge by Senesi. Had to make that, but if Bowen wins it back now. Bowen's left-footed curler is an absolutely brilliant goal for West Ham, and the European hero scores their opening goal of the Premier League season, and that was absolutely typical of Jared Bowen. Sized up the opportunity and curled in an absolute cracker. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1.
Fantastic technique from Jared Bowen. It all started because Fornals actually won the ball back in the middle of Bournemouth's half. Really good interception. And as he slides in, just comes to Jared Bowen just to the left-hand side of the 18-yard, but he just puts it onto his left foot, and then he just comes from Souček, puts it onto his left foot, and again he starts it probably a good yard and a half outside Neto's far right-hand post, and it just nestles in the top corner. Fantastic technique. Fantastic goal from Jared Bowen. West Ham go 1-0 up.
And Jared Bowen, who scored an iconic goal in West Ham's history, featured in every single Premier League game during the previous campaign. He was the European specialist in terms of goals, but he's back in the Premier League with a bang there, and West Ham lead by 1-0, 7 minutes into the second half. In League 2, Swindon 2, Crewe 0. Jake Young early in the second half. Of course, many games are still in the dressing room. We only had a minute of first half added time here, but Crystal Palace have taken the lead early in the second half at Sheffield United, thanks to Odsonne Edouard in the Premier League.
Just looking at Jared Bowen there, we had about 4 or 5 instances in the first half where left-footed players have got the ball either on the right-hand side of the 18-yard box or in centre, and they've just tried to bend it and it's gone through to the goalkeepers. What Jared Bowen did brilliantly there, as he got the ball from Souček, as he moved it out onto his left foot, he actually used Philip Billing. Philip Billing comes to try and close him down with the outside of his left foot, and he thinks, right, if I just bend it past his foot and I start it off outside the post, then I've got Neto having no chance. Exactly what he did. Brilliant technique from Jared Bowen.
Soufal concedes a corner under pressure from Anthony on this near side. In the Championship, Fred Onyedinma has put Rotherham 2-0 up against Blackburn. And Conor McAleny with an equaliser for Salford at home to Crawley in League Two. West Ham leading here by a 1-0 at the Vitality Stadium. Looking to defend this corner. Nuttall in towards the near post. Paquetá rising unchallenged. West Ham have lost the opening Premier League game of the season on 15 occasions, which is the worst record, but they're on top here as it's scooped over the top by Christie, looking for Billing. And Billing is beaten to it by Areola, and at the moment West Ham are in control.
Yeah, it's just too straight there from Christie, trying to play in Philip Billing. So looking at Andoni Areola now, obviously his team coming up to 55 minutes have gone 1-0 down. To be fair to Bournemouth, they did start all right for the first 5 minutes, didn't they? They're passing a bit sharper, they were getting the ball forward a little bit quicker, but now this is just taking the wind out of the sails. So I just wonder how long it's going to take for Areola to make his substitutions.
Well, he does have attacking players on the bench, notably Kluivert. There's a shot that's driven in from Solanke, the lone striker, and it's beaten away at the near post by Areola for a corner. Solanke with a rare sight of goal there, in behind Agurd, but the angles were against him, and in the end it looks a decent save, but I think it was fairly simple for Areola.
To be fair to Areola, he had to stay big at his near post to make sure he doesn't get beat there.
The corner comes to nothing, but it breaks out towards Brooks again. Swung high, but Areola claims unchallenged once again. Looking at the bench, Justin Kluivert is available, so too is Kiefer Moore, so there are attacking options.
Normally, I would say, as a manager, if things aren't going your way, you should be looking at an hour, to get your substitutes all ready and on. We said there, he's got Kluivert who can come on, who's very quick, he's got quick feet, he's very direct. You mentioned Kiefer Moore, obviously be a bit more of a target man.
Antonio fighting Fornals now, 25 yards out, wide to the left, and Benrahma, who cuts into the penalty area, further wide to Emerson, who pulls it back. Paquetá with a volley. What a goal that would have been, but Kerkez was brave to head away on the edge of the penalty area. Now Fornals picks up a dipping ball, back again towards Benrahma. Paquetá wants it, but it's squeezed back towards Fornals, and now Emerson with the cross in. Bowen challenges for the header at the near post, no power or direction, and it's claimed by Areola, but there's a head injury there for Jared Bowen, and it will be a break in play for the medical teams to come on for the first time. Maybe a problem for Senesi as well.
I think there's a head injury clash between Jared Bowen and Senesi, but I think there could be a little bit of a dazed head there from Kerkez, to be fair, Nige, because you said there that was a full-blooded volley from Paquetá. Really good play from West Ham down their left-hand side.
Yeah, Kerkez is also going to receive some treatment, I think.
Yeah, because as the ball came out to Paquetá, he smashed it from 12 yards. That was goal-bound. Kerkez, brilliant positioning, just hits him straight on the forehead and clears the danger. It's not surprised he's a little bit dazed.
Kerkez coming across to this near side to take on some refreshment. 56 minutes played. You're listening to Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1 on Talksport 2 with Now. And don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle against Aston Villa. Live today for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports. And that goal from Jared Bowen giving West Ham the lead here on a busy day across the Talksport network, and we have International Rugby Union coming up at the end of this game. England against Wales, 5:30 kickoff live from Twickenham with Andrew McKenna and Rocky Clark, followed at 8:05 by France against Scotland with Alfie Reynolds and Cat Merchant, and then Anthony Joshua against Robert Hellenius, the boxing, live from the O2 Arena at 9 o'clock on Talksport with Andy Clark, Adam Cattrall and the team. But here in the Premier League, West Ham, who usually start the season so poorly, at the moment are inching towards a victory.
Well, I didn't want to put the mockers on it, Nige, because I was about to say that West Ham have had no draws in their last 25 opening Premier League games, so we was going to get a goal. I didn't put the mockers on it.
Well, they didn't have a 0-0 draw at all last season, and they won't have one here today, whatever happens.
At the moment, you'd have to say from David Moyes' point of view, playing 58 minutes, it's been the perfect away performance. They've looked solid, they've looked disciplined, they've had a threat on the counter-attack, and one thing that...
Oh, Brooks going down right on the edge of the penalty area. He was caught there by Paquetá. He was late and he knew it, and there's an apology from the player who could be on his way out of West Ham. And the Brazilian international, I think, may escape a card, but it is a free kick here.
Well, I was just going to say that with the feature of West Ham's play have been the likes of Fornals and Paquetá, where they're not known for their physicality or winning the ball back. They've won a lot of 50-50 challenges, a lot of interceptions, but then it's Paquetá just being a little bit too adventurous, just came with his left foot, just ended up bringing down Max Aaron's a really dangerous position now for Bournemouth on the right-hand side of West Ham's 18-yard box.
Well, Chris Mepham will be coming on shortly for Bournemouth.
I think that's the clash of heads from Senesi and Jarrah Bowen,
So Senesi makes his way off, so the Welshman replacing the Argentinian. Elsewhere, Newport lead Doncaster 4-0 in League Two. Will Evans with the latest goal there. Chesterfield 4 up at Fylde in the National League.
25, Marcus Senesi. 26, Chris
And Mepham comes on, and Justin Kluivert is also about to make his Bournemouth debut as well to replace Jadon Anthony.
Number 19, Justin Kluivert.
And this is an interesting move. Kluivert coming to the Premier League, came through at Ajax like his dad did, moved to Roma, and he's been farmed out on loan 3 times since. Really needs a home, and he's maybe found one here on the south coast.
Just looking at West Ham, they've got a 3-man wall and they have the long barrier behind it.
And the free kick is curled in by Billing, took a deflection, and it's over the top. In the Championship, an own goal from Carl Rushworth, and it's 2-0 to West Brom against Swansea. And Omar Beckles has put Portsmouth 3 up at Orient, that is an own goal. And Solihull Moors are 2 up at Ebbsfleet in the National League. Here, West Ham lead Bournemouth by 1-0 on Talksport 2. Jarrah Bowen the goal scorer, and we played an hour here on the south coast. Corner kick for Bournemouth, very deep again, headed clear by Agurd, and they do seem to have the edge in terms of height, West Ham at set pieces. Mepham on the far side, looks to squirt it down the line. Billing will make a challenge, Antonio closes him down, and in the end it's gone behind for a goal kick. Just not happening at the moment for Bournemouth. 1 or 2 complaints as a West Ham player is down off the pitch on the far side, and Peter Banks is now having words. It's Agurd, the player who went down.
Do you know what it is? Nice. Chris Mepham comes in. It's just a bit of a robust challenge on Emerson, and it's a bit of a clue when the player rolls 15 times, it keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. That is a sign that you're not hurt. He's just completely made the most of it.
It was Emerson, not Agurd. If you do that off the pitch, is that time wasting?
Like, where you're going there? I think it's actually...
That's one for Howard Webb.
I think it's actually just trying to get your opponent booked and making the meal of it. To be fair to Peter Banks, the referee, he's actually refereed the game very well, hasn't he? He hasn't stood for any nonsense. Even there he went over to Emerson and said, mate, you're not the heavy roller, the pitch is perfect to get up.
High ball is played forward again, and Bowen gathers for West Ham on the edge of the penalty area, nodded down by Antonio. Paquetá. So much of what he's done for West Ham has been good, but on this occasion he found Benrahma in a crowded area, and it's cleared away, and Brooks was charging down the right, but Solanke unable to find him, and West Ham win it back with Fornals. Wide to the far side again, and Emerson. And West Ham playing some decent football when they have the opportunity to get the ball down, and their supporters, many of them shielding their eyes from the sun, appreciating what they're seeing on the far side, leading by 1-0. But now at the other end, Zuma was closed down by Christie and has to go all the way back to his goalkeeper Areola.
Yeah, I think Kurt Zuma just a little bit complacent there. It was good play initially from Fornals and Paquetá, just keeping the ball. They've been the 2 outstanding players for West Ham, helped them control that midfield area. And Kurt Zuma just taking too many liberties there, not getting the ball out of his feet, should be coming out just right hand side to Soufal. Looked like Christie was going to just pick his pocket, but in the end Kurt Zuma got his feet sorted out and managed to roll it back to Areola.
An own goal from Luke Waterfall has given Notts County an equaliser at home to Grimsby. It's 2-2 there. Don't forget, coming up on Talksport on Monday night, all the Monday night football live and exclusive to Talksport. Manchester United against Wolves with Adrian Durham, Sam Matterface and Danny Murphy. And we have Spain against Sweden on Talksport 2, the first of the Women's World Cup semi-finals coming up on Tuesday. The Talksport network will bring you England against Australia live on Wednesday. Now Solanke inside the penalty area, unable to ride the challenge of Agurd, who did brilliantly there for West Ham. It's behind for a corner in the end, but it could have been so much worse.
Yeah, it was good play from Bournemouth's left-hand side. Starts off with the left-back. Kirkes plays a little give and go with Kluivert, gets the return ball, drives to the byline, crosses the ball, and Dominic Solanke's trying to get himself across Agurd, and Agurd slides it away for a corner.
Corner's played short. Christie on the edge of the penalty area, back towards Nuttall. He could curl it right-footed. He does, and it hits the top of the crossbar. And that's the closest Bournemouth have come since going one down.
Yeah, really good play from Joe Rothwell. Just Bournemouth again mixing up from their left-hand side of the corner. Just playing it short one in to Joe Rothwell. Just cuts inside Fornells. Fornells has got to make sure he gets the block in and just tries to bend it inside Ariola's top right-hand corner. And in the end, it goes a bit too straight and just grazes the top of the crossbar. But really good inventive play from Bournemouth from their corner.
Another twist at St Mary's. Southampton 3, Norwich 3. Che Adams with the first goal of the second half. And Boreham Wood lead Halifax by 1-0 in the National League. Here on Talksport 2 in the Premier League, West Ham leading at Bournemouth by 1-0 thanks to Jared Bowen. Souček slides in to ensure that Kirkes goes no further forward on this near side. But Kirkes seems to be okay despite being clouted on the head by that volley from Paquetá. There was real power behind that. Now Neto with a long ball played forward again, nodded down by Solanke, looking for Billing. Billing losing out though to Paquetá. That's been a familiar story for Bournemouth. Paquetá lofted over the top. Antonio in pursuit. Headed away though by Zabani. But the header drops to Bowen. Moving forward towards the edge of the penalty area again. Driven wide to the right hand side. Slips. Then he's challenged by Nuttall. Goes down again but quickly gets back to his feet. Here is Fornals. Square towards Zabani. And now down the line on the far side, and it's cleared away as Benrahma tried to win it back. Aarons with the clearance, and it's lofted over the top by Nuttall. Preston now lead by 2-1 against Sunderland. Mads Frogkjaer with the goal at Deepdale. Mansfield 2, Morecambe 0. Davis Kelleher done at Field Mill, and Cambridge lead at Fleetwood 2-0 in League One. Now Kluivert on the edge of the penalty area, wide to Kirkes. Kirkes with an opportunity to cross. Good cross into the penalty area, but Souček is there to nod the ball away. And a sliding challenge comes in onto foul from Christie on this near side. And the home crowd, I think, seem to appreciate the intent of that, if nothing else.
Yeah, good sliding tackle. So they're coming from Christie. To be fair to Soufal, he rode the challenge really well, got straight up. Just earlier, when Kirkes gets himself to the byline, he's just got to make sure that the closer you get to the byline, you dink it to the far post. And in the end, it was Souček doing a brilliant job defensively for West Ham, heading the ball right in the near post.
Kiefer Moore coming on for Bournemouth to replace Ryan Christie. So it's a very attack-minded team now with Kiefer Moore, Dominic Solanke and Justin Kluivert. And David Brooks over on the right-hand side. Almost 4-2-4 now. And here is Brooks coming forward with Rothwell and Billing looking to hold things together in midfield. Ozan Tufan has made it Hull 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1 in the Championship. 67 minutes played here. Billing with a dummy on the edge of the penalty area for Bournemouth, doesn't come off. Zuma just happy to hammer the ball downfield again.
Looks like Bournemouth now just like a 4-1-1-4, because Rothwell will stay obviously in front of these two centre halves. Billing will go now playing the 10 position. As you said there, you've got Kiefer Moore and Dominic Solanke up front, with David Brooks on the right hand side and Kluivert on this left hand side. So what they have to do now, you've got two centre forwards who are like 6'2". Kiefer Moore, what, 6'4". You've got to make sure that you're getting crosses into the box.
Well, goal scoring was a problem for Bournemouth last season. Only 37 in a 38-game campaign. They failed to score in 18 games. And of course they conceded 71. They finished the campaign with 4 successive defeats. And they could be starting a new one with another loss here. Now Bowen, the goal scorer for West Ham, on this near side. Back to Soufal. Fornals was waiting for Bowen to make the run, but he stayed where he was. But now Zabani slides in to win it back from Antonio, but Fornals quickly gets to the loose ball first. But brave defending from Kerkez, and then Kerkez was caught by Soufal off the ball, off the pitch, and it did seem that Soufal's knee connected there with Kerkez, and you could argue, was it really necessary for Soufal to go in like that?
To be fair to Kerkez, he hasn't rolled around.
Now Bowen inside the penalty area, brought a long throw down on his chest, but an air shot. But now Fornals wins it back for West Ham down the right, and the dink cross into the near post is claimed by Neto.
I have to say, from
the long ball played downfield, Kiefer Moore in pursuit, headed away by a Gerd, and then Paquetá steps in before Brooks. And it's cleared away neatly by Emerson. Paquetá now with a long ball over the top. They're looking for that ball in behind for Antonio, but this time Meckham rises to head the ball away. Rothwell on the far side, back towards Aarons. West Brom 3, Swansea 0. John Swift with the third goal at the Hawthorns. And Queen's Park Rangers, who made such a dreadful start last week, 4-0 at Watford, a 2-up at Cardiff, thanks to Kenneth Park. Now Brooks for Bournemouth as we head towards the final 20 minutes here. Trailing by a goal to 0, Brooks with the cross in, volley cleared by Zuma. And West Ham are dropping deeper and deeper here as they look to hold on to what they have. It slipped in towards Solanke, who does well to lay it back to Brooks, who tried to shape in the curler left-footed from the corner of the penalty area, but he was challenged by Souček, and as a result the ball skewed high over the top.
Yeah, it's good play. Philip Billing just getting the ball from the throw-in on that right-hand side, just put it into David Brooks' path. He said the ball's just underneath his feet now, isn't it? He needs to get it away from his left a little bit more. He ended up just like getting underneath it and skying over Areola's crossbar. Just as a feature of their play, I think West Ham have been far too physical for Bournemouth. I think, in all the 50-50s, all the knockdowns that they've won, and when they were both teams lining up, Bournemouth looked quite a slight team now, didn't they? They looked quite a small team. Now obviously Kiefer Moore coming on has obviously given a little bit more physicality, so I think that's what Adoni Areola's been looking for. But I have to say, I've been really impressed with West Ham through the spine of their team. Paquetá and Fornals especially, we all know about how brilliant they are on the ball and how graceful, but they've won their battles. They've won that physical side of the game.
19 minutes to play. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1. Jarrod Bowen the goal scorer. And at the moment, Bournemouth have looked like fitfully providing a response, but they've made the changes, which they hope will maybe lead to a change of approach.
Yeah, they've got to make sure that they utilise those wide areas, especially on this left-hand side where Kluivert's come and hasn't really seen a lot of the ball. Kerkez has had a couple of underlaps where he's rolled him in, but you want Kluivert to get himself 1v1 with Souček.
Currently Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1. For the latest odds, head to 88 Sport, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage right now. Bournemouth to win 11-5, the draw 9-5. West Ham to win is 7-5. All thanks to 888 Sport, made to challenge, made to play, made to debate. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. We have 17.5 minutes to play here, and there could be more potential movement on the West Ham bench. And we have seen more of a stop-start nature in the second half, but the delay there was Bournemouth, who had possession, but they were asking Max Aarons to go further wide to the right-hand side, and at the moment nobody with West Ham has gone with him, but the ball is about 70 yards away from him. Now Solanke inside the penalty area, and it's hacked away by Zuma. Antonio wide towards Emerson into the sort of area where Max Aarons was, but it's straight out of play, and it will be a throw-in to Bournemouth. In League 2, Bradford 2, Colchester 1, Alex Patterson. Colchester were ahead in that game. Notts County now lead Grimsby 3-2 thanks to Danny Crowley. Stevenage 1, Shrewsbury 0 in League 1. Aaron Presley with the opening goal there. And in the National League it is Boreham Wood 2, Halifax 0, Hartlepool 1, Gateshead 1. And Brighton now lead by 2-0 against Luton. A debut goal for João Pedro from the penalty spot following his move from Watford. And in League 1, Lincoln lead Wycombe by 1-0 thanks to Reko Hackett-Fairchild. Free kick here, which Joe Rothwell is over for Bournemouth with 16 minutes to play. High in and flicked on by Billing, looking for the run at the far post of Kiefer Moore, but he was unable to get a touch, and it will go behind for a goal kick. There's just been a lack of cohesion, isn't there?
Yeah, you can tell, obviously, as I said before, it's very difficult to completely change a team's style of play. I think Bournemouth have tried to do what Antonio wants them to do, but they're not used to playing out from the back and playing through the lines.
Double change now for Bournemouth. David Brooks and Max Aarons are coming off. Antoine Semenyo, the former Bristol City player, is coming on, along with James Hill. His dad Matt was also a fullback up and down the leagues a few years ago. And James Hill ended the season on loan at Hearts in Scotland, but gets a Premier League appearance here today. And we have 15 minutes to play. Aarons, of course, has had a very busy week, including his move from Norwich. And only yesterday, and there have been a number of changes made at Bournemouth. Of course, we heard from Bill Foley, the owner, before the game, saying that they thought they would make the change in coach very early on to try and get the change in approach, but everything takes time. Here is Clivert down the left-hand side for Bournemouth. Back to Rothwell. And now Kirkers, and West Ham are just happy to sit in deep here and just soak up the pressure.
Yeah, West Ham have gone a bank of 4 across the defend across the 18-yard box, of 5 midfield players in front of them, and just leaving Michael Antonio up front, and he's actually come back, so basically it's virtually a 4-6.
Everton 0, Fulham 1 at Goodison Park. Bobby Decordova-Reid with the opening goal there. And Steffi Mabadidi has given Leicester the lead in the Championship at Huddersfield. The opening goal there. 14 minutes to play here. West Ham leading by 1-0. Don't forget, England against Wales, live from Twickenham, coming up following this game. France against Scotland at 8 o'clock. And then over on Talksport at 9, live from the O2 Arena, Anthony Joshua against Robert Hellenius.
At the moment, Nigel, you've got a situation where David Moyes would have gone this through time and time again.
And now an opportunity inside the penalty area as both Billing and Moore jumped, but it was scrambled clear. I think a combination of Agurd and Zuma managed to get the ball away. There is plenty of height on the field now for Bournemouth, but there's always been plenty of height on the field for West Ham. Rothwell, square now to Mepham. In towards Semenyo. Danny Ings will be on shortly for West Ham. Kirkes with the cross in. Solanke with a free header 10 yards out. I don't think he realised he was in so much space there because he glanced the header way wide.
Yeah, it was a decent ball in from Kirkes from the left-hand side, just trying to whip it in. So there, Solanke lost his marker, and I think if he had a little bit more awareness, he could have actually brought the ball down Nigel on his chest, but he just tried to get a glancing header. Too much pressure, and it goes over Ariola's crossbar. But I was just going to say, the situation we have now is obviously Bournemouth having a lot of possession, West Ham dropping a bit deeper. As I said, it's like a 4-5-1 and sometimes 4-6. In training, David Moyes would have gone through this thousands and thousands of times with these teams, of their distances from each other, just making sure the first man closes the ball and everybody shuffles across. So basically it becomes like a forward v defence, where he'd about to set up sessions where there'd be more forwards on the pitch than defenders. So this is suited for West Ham down to the ground at the moment.
Lincoln 2, Wycombe 0 in League One. Teddy Bishop, the former Ipswich player, has scored the opening goal there, and it's also Wigan 1, Northampton 1. Charlie Hughes with the equaliser for the home side. Bournemouth here looking to come on strong in the final 11.5 minutes on Talksport 2, trailing by a 1-0. As Billing has it on this near side, swings the high crossing. Kiefer Moore will challenge with a gird, but he shoved into him, and that was always going to be a free kick. He complains towards Peter Banks, but a gird knew it was coming, and as a result he went down as if he'd been nudged. I think there was contact, and it's always going to be a free kick.
Yeah, it was good defending from Agurd. But if you're Kiefer Moore now and Dominic Solanke up front, one of them has to peel right to the far post, so they got a lot of space to come in and attack the ball. Just say to who's in the wide area, just hang up the far post so I can come and attack it. At the moment, Bournemouth are whipping crosses in, and it's sometimes hitting the first man, and even if Bournemouth player gets to it, it's too much pace on the ball, and their header in it is going over the crossbar. So it's got to be a little bit cuter, Bournemouth, when they get into the wide areas.
11.5 minutes to play. West Ham leading here by a 1-0, but just beginning to hold on as Andoni Iraola tries to field the ball on this near side to try and keep some sort of momentum going. Ozan Tufan with his second for Hull. They lead Sheffield Wednesday by 3-1. Rochdale lead at Oxford City in the National League. Ian Henderson with the goal there. Harry Darling has pulled one back for Swansea. They trailed 3-1 at West Brom in the Championship. But in the Premier League, Luton on their big day, 2 goals down at Brighton, and Fulham lead at Everton by a 0-0, and there's still a goal up at Sheffield United. So it may not be a good weekend for the 3 promoted teams, but that's often the way on the opening day. But here is Bowen. He was found by Danny Ings, who made his league debut for Bournemouth in the lower divisions back in the day. He's had 5 Premier League clubs since. Now an opportunity for Rothwell to drive forward for Bournemouth. Wide to the far side. Quickly down the line from Hill. There's just that lack of creativity for Bournemouth, which will be a concern for Iraola. We've talked about the high pressing style, the attacking football he wants to deliver, but you need somebody who can pick the pass, and at the moment they don't really have anyone out on the field. But it's played wide by Zabarnyi, the central defender, wide towards Semenyo. Now Hill back towards Semenyo again. His first ball forward is blocked. His second one finds Solanke inside the penalty area, who rounds the goalkeeper and scores the equaliser. And out of nothing, Bournemouth are level. A deflected shot low into the penalty area fell kindly for Dominic Solanke, and he was able to wriggle beyond Iraola, and a goal which did not look like coming has arrived for Bournemouth with 10 minutes to play. It is 1-1 thanks to Dominic Solanke.
It was really quick feet from Dominic Solanke. Bournemouth having a lot of possession. Came into Semenya on the right hand side of the box. He actually has a shot which he scuffs completely. In the end, it's Dominic Solanke who's really alive. Just gets himself away from Kurt Zouma, who's ball watching. Comes off the back of Kurt Zouma, Dominic Solanke, and gets the first touch outside of his right foot away from Iraola. Second touch goes round him. Third touch puts it into the back of the net. Fantastic quick feet there from Dominic Solanke. A little bit of fortune because it was a shot from Semenya, but Bournemouth get himself back into the game at 1-1.
Well, that's a real break for them. And Solanke, who only scored 6 times in the Premier League last season, is off the mark here. Carlton Morris has scored a first Premier League goal for Luton from the penalty spot. It's now 2-1 there, and Sammy Smollett's with 2 quick goals for Blackburn has brought them level at Rotherham. Now Paquetá finding Ings with a shot low into the penalty area, and it's blocked behind by Mepham for a corner, and Danny Ings so close to a goal against one of his former clubs.
There's a hair-raising moment there for Bournemouth, and the ball came to Danny Ings. It's good play in the middle of the pitch from Paquetá, just rolls it to Danny Ings. In the end, it's a really good sliding challenge from Savagni, just puts the ball out for a corner for West Ham on their right-hand side.
1-1 here with 7 minutes to play. Danny Ings now has the hairline of Perry Groves, by the way.
Hair's very overestimated, Nigel.
Bowen with the ball high into the penalty area, fisted away by Neto, who has now gone down. I think he collided with Kirkes inside the box, but he's quickly back on his feet. And it's a different game now as Emerson comes forward, swings it into the near post, and it was Ings going for it. It's back to Paquetá with a shot, and it hits the post, and it spins behind, and West Ham so close to retaking the lead. Danny Ings went close, and then Paquetá went even closer.
Good response from West Ham, being picked back to 1-1. As you said there, the ball comes out to Paquetá. It's a ball in from Emerson. Souček Danny Ings trying to get a near post, comes out to Paquetá, looks like he's nestled the ball down to Neto's right. It comes crashing back off the post. Really unlucky from Paquetá. Second time West Ham have hit the woodwork in this game. Good response after being picked back to 1-1.
Tilo Kehrer is coming on here for West Ham. Game on at the Hawthorns. It's now West Brom 3, Swansea 2. Nathan Gordon has got them back into the game there. Callum McManaman has given Wigan the lead at home to Northampton. It's 2-1 there. Walsall leads Stockport 2-0 in League 2. Oxford lead Carlisle by a goal to 0 in League 1. Conor Hourihane has put Derby 2-0 up at Burton in League 1 as well. And in League 2 it's now Barrow 1, Sutton 1. Tilo Kehrer has come on for West Ham, and it's Pablo Fornals, the player he has replaced, so it looks like he'll take his position just in front of the back four, and James Tilley with a penalty has equalised for AFC Wimbledon against Wrexham. Bailey, it's 1-1 there, but here it is 1-1 as well. And Bournemouth with a goal which was slightly fortuitous in its construction, but they will take it. Ings closing down Neto, and it's back to Zabani on this near side, and we have 4 minutes of normal time to play, and this game now suddenly is wide open once again.
To be fair to Andoni Iraola, obviously new in charge of Bournemouth, he made some positive changes. He went 4 up top now, basically, didn't he? With Kiefer Moore and Solanke through the middle, Semenya on the right-hand side, and one of the substitutes, Semenya, had a big hand in the goal. Said it was a scuff shot and brilliant quick feet from Solanke.
Now Bowen for West Ham. Plays it across the face of the centre circle. He was looking for space on the far side, but in the end it was cut out by Semenya. He was then pulled down by Emerson. He receives a yellow card, the third one in the game for West Ham.
Yeah, Antoine Semenya's looked really lively since he's been on down that right-hand side. Just a really slack pass coming out the back from West Ham. Semenya just getting in front of Emerson. Emerson knowing full well that Semenya's going to advance in a dangerous position, just basically trips him up with the outside of his left foot. Gives Peter Banks, referee, no choice but to admonish the yellow card. Now there's a free kick here for Bournemouth, probably about 45-50 yards out. Joe Ruffell's going to take it. All he's got to do here, Nigel, is just hang it up at the far post. Just let Kiefer Moore go and attack it.
Free kick delivered by Rothwell, driven in. In the end, the West Ham defensive header almost falls to Bournemouth. It does in the end. Billing with a high ball in. Semenya at the far post will try and keep the ball in play, and he's done so brilliantly. Now he plays it back towards Rothwell, an opportunity for him to try and hit the penalty area. He's found Mepham, the central defender. in the right wing position. Mepham will try and take on Danny Ings. In the end, Ings holds him up, but he bounces back towards Rothwell. Rothwell, though, is beaten to it by Paquetá, and he stabs the ball away. Brighton now lead Luton by 3 goals to 1. Simon Andringa with the clinching goal there. Semenya with a shot for Bournemouth, which was blocked. It's won back by Billing. And here is Kirkes now. Lifts it high to the far post. Kiefer Moore will challenge. Nods it back in towards Kluivert, but it's helped away initially by Souček, and then the header back into the penalty area from Hill. It's claimed by Areola, and with 90 seconds to play, it is chaotic stuff here at the Vitality Stadium. 1-1.
Yeah, Bournemouth just trying to force it. Obviously, want to get the winner if they can. Just there's a better ball there from Kirkes from the left back position. As I said, Kiefer Moore just peeled around the back. Just hang it up. Just hang the ball up so he can go and attack it and see if he can get the knockdowns and get Solanke around and get Philip Billing around him.
Other goals going in. Scott Sinclair for Bristol Rovers. 1-1 at home to Barnsley. Ipswich now lead Stoke 2-0. Caden Jackson with the clinching goal at Portman Road. Lincoln now lead 3-0 against Wycombe Wanderers. And in the National League, Kidderminster with a late goal to go 1-up at York as West Ham try and build on the far side, but the ball spins beyond Benrahma out of play, and it will be a goal kick.
Just coming up to 90 minutes. Be interesting to see how much added time we've got, because you can bet your life that I know the managers have been moaning, haven't they, midweek, Nigel, about all the added time, and it's just like, stop your moaning, stop your players time wasting, stop on feigning injury, and then you won't have as much added time, and you won't moan if your team scores a winning goal in the 8th minute of added time later on in the season.
Well, looking down the scores going in elsewhere today, there were plenty of 45 plus 6, 45 plus 7 goals in the first half.
You think those managers will be worried about their players' welfare when they're sitting in the dressing room and they've got 3 points?
No, well, the solution is in their hands. 6 added minutes here, which I think is about fair enough. Kiefer Moore with the cross in from the far side. It was deflected. Areola unable to keep the ball in play, and it will be a corner kick for Bournemouth now, who are coming on really strong, looking for the winning goal here.
You see all the Bournemouth fans looking at their watches thinking they want more than 6 minutes, but there's got more than enough time for them to fashion a winning goal. So Rothwell just jog over, take the corner on Bournemouth's right hand side. Just make sure that you miss the first man. Paquetá's at the near post. Just make sure that you miss him.
Rothwell will take the corner. So much height waiting inside the penalty area, and it's very deep, and it's too deep, and it's straight into the arms of Areola.
When I said make sure you miss the first man, I meant to have a caveat to that, and don't just stand it up so the goalkeeper can come and pluck it like he's plucking apples off a tree. You've got to have just a little bit more nous about you so that Kiefer Moore and Solanke and Philip Billing can have something to attack.
Crewe have come from 2 goals down to equalise at Swindon in League 2, where Mansfield also lead Morecambe by 3 goals to 0, and Connor Washington has put Derby 3 up at Burton, and Christian Fasnacht has given Norwich the lead again at Southampton, 4-3. That's the game of the day in the Championship between 2 former Premier League teams of fairly recent standing. And Southampton's first home game looks like it will end in defeat, and that's 7 goals conceded in 2 games.
So they can't keep clean sheets, Nigel. I think it's 20th game on the trot now without a clean sheet, and to be fair, Norwich under David Wagner, I think that would be 9 unbeaten.
Yep. Now Kluivert coming forward for Bournemouth. 2 minutes into added time. Finding Semenya on the edge of the penalty area. He checks back onto his left foot, and the steam has rather gone out of the move, but now Hill will bring it forward. Semenya again. Back towards Hill. And there's an opportunity for Rothwell to deliver this ball in, but everybody moved to the near post, and again it's overhit and it's behind for a goal kick.
But I'm looking at Kiefer Moore there, because obviously someone of his size and stature, he should be peeling at the far post, and all he's doing is he's standing centrally, and all he can do is make a run to near post. Now you said they're onto bodies, and he's running on to Dominic Solanke. So again, you've got to have a little bit more nous about. You'll peel around right from the far post and just say to Rothwell, just hang it up so I can go and attack it, and then see if we can get the knockdowns.
Bournemouth head to Liverpool in their next Premier League game. Of course, they conceded 9 at Anfield in August last season. And then their next game here against Spurs will be live on Talksport, as Paquetá is booked again for kicking the ball away. They don't learn.
I think they all see that it's worth taking one, just to try and quell the attacks of Bournemouth.
West Ham at home to Chelsea next week, and then they go to Brighton. So some difficult games coming up on the face of it. And now Paquetá is coming off. And Maxwell Cornet, the Ivorian, will come on to replace him.
Yeah, for a good 60-65 minutes, Fornals and Paquetá were both the best players on the pitch, Nigel, weren't they? They sort of controlled it for West Ham. Then West Ham started to sit a little bit deeper, just trying to hold on to that 1-0 lead. And Donny Ariola, Bournemouth manager, made his substitutions. To be fair, the substitutions had made a difference.
And we played 4 of the 6 added minutes at the end of this game.
And this afternoon's Michael Matthews Jewellery Man of the Match.
And I think there's 1 or 2 Bournemouth supporters begin to head away. Joe Rothwell has been given the home sponsors Man of the Match, as Ings gathers for West Ham on the edge of the penalty, looks to pick his way through. Cornet then goes down. The assistant has his flag up on this near side, and it was for offside.
He did really well there. Danny Ings just used his body just to spin Zabarnyi, and he thought he was going to get away, and it was Cornet who just come and tried to nick the ball off his toes. Good decision from the assistant down here on our right hand side. Cornet was half a body offside.
Well, there may just have been an arm on his shoulder from Zabarnyi, but in the end there was no question of it mattering because he was offside. Aaron Connolly's made it Hull 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1 in the Championship. And we are inside the final allotted minute here. 1-1 the score on Talksport 2. A late equaliser for Bournemouth after West Ham took the lead early in the second half. Here is Cornet now for West Ham. Forward to Ben Rama. Solanke tumbles as it's played forward by Emerson, looking for Ben Rama, who's in behind Hill just for a second. The early cross in was seeking out Ings, but it's too close to Neto.
It was the right idea from Ben Rama, made a good run down that left-hand side.
Now Semenya with a terrific run forward, left 3 West Ham players trailing in his wake. Wide to the far side of Moore. Moore's cross though was blocked by a Gerd. And now Hill again. Hill's got Moore holding his position. Really, Bournemouth need him in the centre. And Ben Rama shrugs off the challenge of Hill. And eventually he was fouled, and Bournemouth have a player booked, Chris Mepham, for kicking the ball away.
Yeah, I think it was, we said there, Mepham from kicking the ball away. Hill was actually quite lucky he didn't get booked there as well, because he actually thought the referee had blown the whistle trying to swap shirts with Ben Rama.
We are deep into the 7th minute of added time here. 1-1 on Talksport 2 on the opening day of the Premier League season, and that is it. A point apiece. There'll be some relief for Bournemouth equalising late in the game, maybe some disappointment for West Ham, but after a summer of departures and doubts, they begin with a point. Jared Bowen gave them the lead with a cracking opener, and some quick feet from Dominic Solanke allowed him to conjure up an equalising goal late on for Bournemouth. It is finished 1-1 here at the Vitality Stadium, and that's about right overall.
Yep, you have to say that probably for the first hour, West Ham looked fairly comfortable in the first half. Bournemouth dominating possession, didn't really trouble Alfonso Ariola in the West Ham goal too much. Souček hit the post. West Ham in the first half come back into Neto's hands. 0-0 at half time. Then, as you said there, West Ham took control in the second half. Fornals and Paquetá especially, I thought, were outstanding. And that was epitomised with Fornals just winning the ball back high into Bournemouth's half and just toe-poking in Souček. He rolled it to Jared Bowen just on the D of the 18-yard box, and then with his left foot he just started it about a yard outside Neto's post, just bent it in top corner. Fantastic goal, put West Ham 1-0 up. And then, to be fair to Andoni Iraola, the Bournemouth manager, said Nige, as a manager, going to make changes to make a difference, which he did. He brought on Semenyo, he brought on Kiefer Moore, and it was Semenyo who actually had a hand in Bournemouth's equaliser, where he looked very lively on that right-hand side, picked the ball up on the right-hand side of the 18-yard box. It was actually a shot that he scuffed, and in the end it came through to Dominic Solanke, and Kurt Zouma had just fallen asleep completely. Solanke just nipped in behind him, and it was brilliant quick feet where he got the first touch out of his feet. Iraola comes to close him down, knocks it past him with his right foot, and just rolls it into an empty to put Bournemouth back in the game at 1-1. And Bournemouth had more of possession probably the last 10 minutes and into added on time, but couldn't quite fashion any clear-cut chances to win the game. But as you said, 1-1, Nigel's probably about right.
Thanks to Perry Groves. He'll be back at 3 o'clock on Talksport 2 next week. This is the situation.